Day 4. The forest holds its breath. A strange stillness has fallen over the land. The constant hum of insects has vanished. The birds, usually a chorus of life, are silent. Something is wrong. The air is thick, heavy, pressing down with an unspoken tension. He can feel the change in his bones, a primal instinct stirring. Looking up, the sky is no longer the familiar, friendly blue. A deep, bruised purple gathers at the horizon, slowly creeping across the canopy. A low, distant rumble rolls through the valley, not just a sound, but a vibration felt deep in the earth. It's coming. He moves with a new urgency. There's no time to waste. He scrambles onto the roof of the small shelter, his creation of mud and sticks, tightening the palm fronds, securing the vines that hold it all together. Every knot is checked, every leaf repositioned. He gathers his precious tools, the stone axe, the sharpened stick sand, moves them to the driest corner of the hut. He pauses, glancing one last time at the horizon. The wind has picked up, carrying a scent. He recognizes the smell of rain on dry earth, but also something more. Something ancient and powerful. This isn't just a shower. This is a reckoning. The first drop hits a leaf with a soft patter, then another and another. A gentle tapping that quickly grows into a steady drumming. The rhythm accelerates, the drops growing heavier, larger, striking the ground with increasing force. The calm is broken. The storm has arrived. He works against the clock, against the rising crescendo of the rain. Grabbing handfuls of wet clay, he presses the mud into the gaps in the walls, sealing every crack he can find. He reinforces the wooden frame, lashing more vines around the main support beams, pulling them taut until his knuckles are white. The golden light of the afternoon is swallowed by an oppressive slate-grey blanket that smothers the entire jungle. The world shrinks to the small space within his shelter. Then a brilliant, blinding flash of white light tears across the sky, illuminating the forest for a split second in stark, ghostly detail. An instant later, a deafening crack of thunder explodes directly overhead, shaking the very ground beneath him. The jungle, once silent, now roars to life in a symphony of fury. The wind is no longer a breeze. It's a screaming, howling force, tearing through the trees, ripping at the leaves of his shelter. It finds every tiny weakness, whistling through the gaps in the walls like a vengeful spirit. Water begins to seep through the roof, first as a slow drip, then a steady trickle. A drop lands on the small, carefully nurtured fire pit. It sizzles, another follows. The tiny flame sputters, flickers, and with a final sad hiss, it dies. Darkness and cold rush in. He fights back against the onslaught. Shivering, he braces the walls with his own body, pushing against the frame as the wind threatens to tear it apart. He ties more vines, his fingers numb and clumsy in the cold rain. The shelter groans and shakes under the strain, a living thing fighting for its life, just like him. The world becomes a chaotic blur, his hands dripping and muddy, struggling with a stubborn knot. The sharp snap of a branch breaking somewhere nearby, His face, streaked with rain and dirt, a mask of grim determination. Nature is roaring, a relentless, deafening, and overwhelming power. It doesn't care about his shelter. It doesn't care about his survival. It simply is. Then a sickening sound of tearing. A corner of the roof, the one he'd worked so hard to secure, gives way. A torrent of water pours in, threatening to ruin his small cache of food and his tools. He lunges, diving to shield them with his body, a desperate act to save the few things that keep him alive. At that exact moment, lightning flashes again, freezing the scene in a brilliant, terrifying tableau. The storm is at its peak, an apocalyptic display of nature's raw power. He retreats to the center of the hut, huddling against a main support beam, his back pressed against the wood. He can feel the vibrations of the storm through the frame. He closes his eyes, his chest heaving, trying to control his breathing against the panic. The shelter bends, it creaks, it groans under the immense pressure, but it holds. It does not fall. Hours blur into an indistinguishable stretch of darkness, rain, and the unending roar of thunder. There is no day or night, only the storm. He is a small, fragile creature at the mercy of a world gone mad, his survival hanging by the thinnest of threads. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the rhythm of the storm begins to change. The violent, chaotic drumming of the rain on the roof softens into a more predictable, steady pattern. The screaming of the wind descends into a low, mournful hum. The rage is subsiding. He stirs from his huddled position. His movements are stiff, slow, his body aching with cold and exhaustion. He crawls to the dead fire pit. The embers are soaked, but deep within the ash, a flicker of warmth might remain. Carefully, he shields the pit from the dripping water and begins to blow, gently at first, then with more force. A tiny orange spark glows in the darkness. He adds a small, dry stick. The spark catches, a weak flame wavers, then grows stronger. Smoke, pale and steady, begins to drift upwards. A fragile signal of defiance against the storm. Life returns. As the first light of dawn filters through the clouds, he pushes aside the makeshift door and steps outside. The world is transformed. It's drenched, dripping, and profoundly quiet. The air is clean, washed in a soft, silvery light, thick with the rich, loamy scent of rain and wet earth. The trees stand like silent, dripping sentinels. He turns to look at his shelter. It's battered, scarred, and leaning, but it's still standing. He looks at the fire pit inside, where the small flame now burns with a steady, comforting glow. He survived the night. A close-up on his eyes shows the flame reflected within them. They are weary, hollowed by the ordeal, but they are undeniably alive. He met the fury of nature, and he endured.